Good morning. My name is Roshan C. Evans. I am an impacted citizen of a false accusation that led to charges stemming from a plea deal, not guilt of a crime. I am an advocate of criminal justice reform. And today I am calling out the system and those that perpetuate that broken system. Before I get into my story, and some of you know my story, you've been watching my YouTube, but I've been thinking, before I get in my story, I want to tell you how I got here. And how did I get here? I was up all night thinking about it. But a lot got me here. I don't really know how to zero down on one thing because there's a multitude of things that actually got me here. But one thing I know for sure got me here was a broken system that preys on the weak, the vulnerable, and the poor. Racism got me here. Oppression got me here. An angry parent got me here. A lying girl got me here. My naiveness to life got me here. Not having an appropriate support system got me here. Just a lack of understanding of how the law works in general got me here. I was taught that laws were put in place to protect the general public from wrongdoings. I wasn't taught the protection was divided amongst race, class, socioeconomic status. I was taught innocent until proven guilty. I was never taught that certain accusations from some towards others came with the assumption of an automatic guilt unless you were able to afford to pay for your innocence. What got me here is being a part of the unprotected class. In my story, for those of you that don't know, who am I and what I'm going through and why I'm making these videos. What happened to me? It was a lot actually, but ultimately, I grew up, away from my mother and my immediate family for various reasons. I didn't have a father in my life for whatever reason. Doesn't matter. But living in a single parent home, I didn't find myself having a place living with my mom. And I'm not really going to dig off into that story, but we just couldn't get on the same page. I was growing up, going through puberty. She was going through whatever she was going through. And one thing ultimately led to, me separating or leaving the house at a very early age. Upon leaving the house, I was taking care of myself, had friends, I had lots of places I can crash on, couches here and there, had rooms here and there, had my own little homes, here and there. Couldn't really get nothing in my name because I was underage, but I was taken care of. And ultimately from middle school until about the age of 17, I was hanging out with a group of friends, and it was the Christmas holiday. And my friends came home from college. And I wouldn't really call it a party, but I guess, excuse me, but it was a party. Wasn't no liquor or drinks involved or anything like that. But my friends, since I was the only one, in town still in the city, they asked me to call some females over. And I ended up calling a young lady to come hang out with me in the wee hours of the morning, after 12 for certain. And this young lady made some decisions that I was quite unaware of. Um, First of all, when I called her, I believe it had to be something like 1 something in the morning, according to some of the transcripts I have. It says that she asked her mom, can she get out? Her mom said no. It appeared that the girl begged and ultimately got her way, but the mom didn't tell her she can leave. The mom told her she can go outside, but do not leave that front yard. She told her daughter, you can go in the front yard, but do not leave the front yard. She agreed, but the girl called me and told me not to come to her house, to meet her at the corner. And she snuck away from the house against my knowledge. So we ends up picking this girl up. She snuck away from the house. Nobody had any idea that she snuck away from the house. We're a year and 4 months apart. She get in the car and she's touching me. She immediately goes in my pants. She's touching me. I'm touching her. I'm under her shirt. We never kissed, nothing, just touching each other. And when we get back to the house, she goes in the house. Me and my homeboys is outside. We chit-chatting and laughing and joking and talking, about whatever we talking about. By the time we get in the house, this girl was nowhere to be found. She was upstairs in my room, butt naked. I don't know how she ended up there. I don't know if she asked where my room was and went in there and got naked. I don't know if she asked to use the bathroom, went and found a room and got naked. I don't know if, she was directed up there. But one thing I know is that she was naked. She was in my bed and she was waiting on me. So when I got in the house and I didn't see her downstairs amongst everybody else, I asked, where was she? They told me she was upstairs. When I found her in my bed, butt naked, I did the same thing. I took my clothes off. I got in the bed with this young lady. I couldn't get an erection this night to save my life. And I don't know if it was because I was nervous, because of all the people walking in and out of the room, standing around the bed, looking through the doorway or the vent, I don't know why I couldn't get an erection. I don't know if it was just a sign from God, but ultimately, all I could do was ejaculate on the floor next to this girl's coat. We put back on our clothes after I got finished ejaculating, because that's all I can do next to her coat. And when we put our clothes on and walked downstairs, before she can make it all the way downstairs, she stopped and started talking to someone else in the house, one of the older males that had almost the same exact name as me. My name is Roshan. His name is Rashad. They was whispering back and forth, talking, laughing, looking at me, giggling and hee-heeing and ha-ha. Cool, whatever. These two went back upstairs holding hands. They did what they wanted to do upstairs with each other. I sat downstairs, didn't think about them, didn't care, whatever. When they came back downstairs, they continued to hang out. Next thing I know, my cell phone started ringing. Who is it calling my phone? This girl mama that's looking for her because she told her daughter, unbeknownst to me and anybody in the house, that she told her daughter not to leave that front yard. So now this mama calling my phone and nobody wants to answer it. Not even the girl. So the mama calls back to back, to back to back, to back to back, to back to back, and continuously calls and nobody answers. By the time the phone stopped ringing, before the phone stopped ringing, my homeboy, Tony, they call him Bub. He asked her, he said, would you like me to take you home? She said, no. That mama kept calling. Somebody else in the house, I can't remember. They was like, somebody need to take that girl home. but she wasn't ready. So they continued to chill. Once the phone stopped ringing, she was like, okay, y'all can take me home now. Whatever this girl did ain't got nothing to do with me, right? So we taking her home. We get in the car. It's the same people who picked her up. We get in the car. We on our way to her house. And before we get to her house, she make that comment again. She say, don't go to my house. Don't drop me off at my house. Drop me off at the corner. Again, I don't care. Whatever you did or didn't do or lied to your mama, it really is none of my concern. Whatever. We drop her off at the corner. Instead of going to her house, she went in a whole nother direction of her house. So we don't know really what time she got there, what happened when she got there. When we dropped her off, when we went back to the house, me, my two homeboys that was in the car with me, Clyde and Tank, to be exact, and a couple other people from the house, we all packed up and we left when we went to another house because one of our friends' mother, they are twins, their mother had just came home from prison, and it was the Christmas holiday. And since she just came home from prison, they wanted to cook her Christmas meal for, just coming home for her first Christmas in I don't know how many years. So we leave, we chilling, we hanging out. Everybody left the house where we just came from except one person. Well, by the time that one person came where we were, which was a couple hours later, he said, hey, Roshan, law enforcement officer came over there looking for you for kidnapping. And, I'm like, yeah, whatever. And I'm really not paying no attention because I know ain't nobody got kidnapped. So I'm like, I blew it off. He like, bro, I'm telling you. I'm like, yeah, okay. He like, okay. And I'm like, okay. And, that was pretty much it. Like, I didn't hear any like severity in his voice, it was just like, bro, law enforcement was looking for you for kidnapping. I'm like, whatever. And ultimately, they did come by looking for me. But I didn't really actually realize that till a couple weeks later until I bumped into my assistant wrestling coach at a McDonald's game where he asked me, what have I gotten to? And then he told me what was happening. And I'm like, no. But when he was telling me what was happening, my charge changed from kidnapping to rape. And I'm like now I was like, okay. And I hadn't talked to this young lady since. So I tell him everything that happened from the beginning to the end. He tell me to turn myself in the morning and write a paper and turn myself in. So before I wrote my written statement and turned myself in, I called the girl to see what was actually happening. But when she would answer the phone and hear my voice, she wouldn't speak, and I'm like, and I called her a couple times, and every time she heard my voice, she wouldn't speak. But yet, when she answered the phone, every time she answered the phone, it was like it was a party in her house. And she answered the phone with so much enthusiasm until she heard my voice. And that's because she had did something malicious that she didn't want to face. So when she heard my voice, she just wouldn't speak. Ultimately, I wrote a 16-page statement telling everything that happened from the beginning to the end. And I turned myself in the morning. Law enforcement, they took my statement, they read it, made copies or whatever they did. They didn't give me anything back, but they didn't lock me up. They really just disregarded it as an angry parent because that's what it was. But yet they gave me a court date because of the report. So ultimately, got this court date. It's all good. I'm thinking in my mind mentally that it was nothing anybody can do to me, especially since nothing happened. And especially if I was telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the court of law. So help me God. I go to court. I get out. They have me sign something. They give me a copy, give me a new court date every time. Come to court, sign a paper, get a new court date. laughing in my mind, thinking they're gonna throw it out eventually. So I just keep coming back to court, whatever. But yeah, stress will give you health problems too. So whatever. But I end up continuously going to court. And then the day before my 18th birthday, May 27th of 2000, my lawyer, he told me that this is it. And that it's either guilty or not guilty. And that nobody cares about my story. Nobody cares about what happened. Nobody cares about what didn't happen. The only thing anybody care about is guilty or innocent. And if I say anything outside of guilty or innocent, that I was going to go to prison for 15 years. And I couldn't see myself doing 24 hours. He also said that if I make the judge feel that I'm involuntarily taking this plea deal, that the judge will not accept my plea deal and I will have to go to trial. And if I go to trial, I will get 15 years. He also told me if I have to go to trial, he will not be able to represent me as my trial attorney, which means I will have to figure out how to get a trial attorney. So I didn't have any ultimatum outside of signing a plea deal. It was either sign a plea deal or get 15 years in prison. The plea deal that I signed was for touching a minor, not for rape. But my charge went from kidnapping, nobody was kidnapped, to rape, nobody was raped, to touching a minor. We both were minors. We both were under 18. We are 1 year and 4 months apart. When this girl snuck away from her house, unbeknownst to me, she was 15. Her birthday was in a couple weeks in January, which would have made her 16. I was 17 years old. Like, we a little bit over a year apart. But and I must add, the Michigan law states you can't legally have sex unless you're 18 years of age. And then the Michigan law states between the ages of 13 and 16 considers you a minor, which neither one of us was 18, but she fell between 13 and 16. But yeah, we're a year and 4 months apart. So we both were minors. So they got me to sign this plea deal, thinking that I was signing for the most leniency. And that plea deal really followed me for the rest of my life. The plea deal was supposed to be 6 months ankle monitor, 36 months probation, and 10 years to register as a sex offender. And here we go. Over double my time span of what I agreed to for the registry. I'm still on the registry because Texas had me here for a lifetime. So, I mean, like, this has impacted my life in so many different ways, like I can talk to you for days about it. As a result, my life experiences, like I've been denied employment, after employment, after employment, after employment. I've been denied housing, like to this day, I promise you, I have no idea of any apartment complex, not one, that will rent me a place to live, not one apartment complex in the whole city of Houston. It has impacted my wages and what I can make. Like, some people, they prefer to pay me under minimum wage and overwork me. Almost no one is willing to pay me a living wage. I literally have to go out and figure out how to create my own jobs. Other than that, it's like, I don't know how I will survive. People use my story to position me in ways that they will have control over me. My baby mama, she uses my story as an excuse to keep me away from my daughter. I hadn't been able to go to none of my daughter's gymnastic games. Like, I hadn't even seen my daughter, really in 7 years. And I've been trying to see my daughter for 7 years. Me and her mama, we split up when my daughter was 7. And before we split up, my baby mama used to tell me all the time that she was going to take my daughter from me. And there was nothing that I can do about it. And I never thought that she would actually do it. But she did. She took my daughter. And since I am in a position that I'm in, it's hard to come up with the finances or the financial resources to get this back to court. So for 5 of the 7 years, I really just been trying to be patient, hoping that my baby mama will grow up and that she would allow me access to my daughter. Like I can't call my daughter. I can't see my daughter. I can't, like, if I create a social media page just to talk to my daughter on social media, the mom blocks me. Like, I bought my daughter a cell phone, like right after me and my baby mama split up. The baby mama took the cell phone from her the day I gave it to my daughter, and the phone stayed on off. Like, I was never able to talk to my daughter, not once on that phone. That it was already paid for and bought. And the bill was on me. I pay my child support every week, faithfully. But yet, I can't see her. Within the last 2 years, I was able to come up with the money to take my baby mama to court. And in these 2 years, I've been in the courtroom one time in 2 years. They've been having a hard time serving my baby mama. She's been running and hiding, and everybody is assisting her, and to sheltering her from coming to court, since I was able to afford to take my baby mama to court, my daughter had 2 birthdays. She just turned 14. Like, my entire life has been robbed from me because of this sex offense case. I mean, just thinking about other ways that the sex offender registry has impacted my life in ways that people can't imagine, is things like your driver's license. Like, most people, they'll pay $10.81 with the taxes for a driver's license that should be good up to 4 years. But for me, or people like me, I literally have to pay $86.60 for a driver's license minimum every 4 years. So that $10.81, where people driver's license is good for 4 years, I have to pay $86.60. And that's minimum. And that depends on how many times I move, because every time I move, I would have to renew my driver's license. So some people, they feel like they can, like, literally do anything to me, say anything to me, and I have to accept it because of my label. They feel they can treat me any kind of way. And at times, I really feel like they're right. So what am I looking for when I make these videos? Why do I do it? I want people to understand my story. I want people to understand how corrupt this system is. I want people to understand that just because somebody signed a plea deal doesn't make them guilty of a crime. I want people to understand that if you do take something to trial and lose, it doesn't necessarily mean you're guilty. I want people to understand that humans run a system and humans is not perfect. I want to be free. I deserve freedom. I want to be treated as a human. I want my daughter. I want someone to fix this broken system. I want people to stop prosecuting people because of public opinion. I want people to stop prosecuting people because they are poor. I want people to stop destroying lives with lies. I want the sex offender registry abolished. It's a waste of tax dollars, and we need to either fix it or get rid of it. I want to be free. And justice, I want justice. But what does justice look like for me? What is justice? What would it be? Justice would be to see a change in the system that I'm talking about. Justice would be to see no lifetime punishments, absolutely none, no lifetime punishments at all for any charge or charges, knowing that the system that we are in and operating through isn't perfect. People lie, and racism is alive and well. Justice for me is for everyone to receive equal protection, regardless of sex, race, age, beliefs, support they may or may not have, or their socioeconomic status. And what I'm going to do about it, I'm going to keep telling my story until people start to pay attention. I'm going to keep selling my autobiography, Stolen Identity, so my story can be shared. I'm going to continue to organize people with stories to show the injustices of the system and expose the flaws of the registry. I'm going to expose people by name and photo that make false accusations. I'm going to expose the parents of those that ruin lives of the young because their children wanted to be fast. I'm going to expose those that perpetuate and uplift false narratives, false sex narratives at that, for the protection of their family reputation. Yes, I'm going to expose you. I'm going to expose you all. And for you, if you would like to assist me in my journey, and I'm hoping you would, you can help me expose the flaws of the system and the registry by reaching out to me and sharing your story. You can help me expose the person that falsely accused you by reaching out to me and airing out your laundry. You can help me expose the parents of those that choose to punish you over their own disobedient children that wanted to be fast. Help me change the system for the better. We can improve this system by educating people on the flaws of the system. We have personal stories. We are the data. Help me by purchasing my autobiography, Stolen Identity. It's on any Audible platform, or you can purchase a hard copy of my autobiography, Stolen Identity, on the Pure Justice website, which is www.purejustice.org. That's www.purejustice.org. purejustice.org. We have a collective responsibility to each other. That's what's missing. Our collective responsibility to each other. Together, we can.